Network Center. This is IchiTV News NOW.
Good evening from ITV News Center. I'm Oskee Walden. We have some sad news that our beloved Pope Francis died at the age of 88. His full name was Jorge Mario Bergoglio, an Argentinian Pope and the first Pope from the Americans. Here is a statement from the Vatican. It's now 6 p.m. Dearest brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow, I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis. At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and of His Church. He taught us to live the values of the gospel with fidelity, courage, and universal love, especially in favor of the poorest and most marginalized. With immense gratitude for his example as a true disciple of our Lord Jesus, we commend the soul of Pope Francis to the infinite merciful of the one and triune God. Yan po ang ating statement mula sa ating Vatican. Samantala, sitwasyon natin sa Rome, Italy, nakatunog natin ang kampana para pabigay daan sa papupugay ng ating Santo Papa sa mga oras na ito. Mga kasquad at mga ITV, nandito tayo sa Vatican kung saan pumanaw na po ang ating Santo Papa na si Pope Francis. As you don't know that Pope Francis, beloved Lolokito to Filipinos, passed away. As according to ABS-CBN News, third update muna tayo. Pope Francis, known and loved by Filipinos as Lolokito, has passed away. The Vatican said Monday he was 88. The Argentine pontiff, leader of the Catholic Church since March 2013, spent 38 days being treated for double pneumonia at Pope's Gemelli Hospital before seeming to recover and leaving the facility on March 23. His death came a day after making a much hoped for appearance at St. Peter's Square on Easter Sunday. Dearest brothers and sisters, it is with deep sorrow that I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis, said Cardinal Kevin in a statement published by the Vatican on its Telegram channel. This morning at 7:35 a.m., the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the home of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and His Church. Francis' death came just a day after he delighted the crowds of worshippers at the Vatican on Easter Sunday with an appearance on the balcony at St. Peter's Basilica despite still convalescing after severe illnesses. Francis had come to close to dying twice earlier this year while suffering from pneumonia. He spent 38 days in the hospital before he was released on March 23. On Sunday, he wished the crowds on St. Peter's Square a happy Easter as he waved in his traditional Ubit and Orbi to the city and the world. Benediction, he called for freedom of thought and tolerance. His death sets in motion centuries-old tradition that will culminate in the gathering of conclave of cardinals to choose his successor. In the meantime, the day-to-day running of a tiny Vatican city-state will be handled by the Camerlengo, a senior cardinal currently Dublin-born Kevin Farrell. Francis' desire to chart a different path was evident right to the end, with his decision to be buried not in St. Peter's Basilica, but in Rome's Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica. He became the first pope in more than 100 years as to be laid to rest outside the Vatican. Francis also rejected the tradition of popes having their three coffins, instead choosing to bury just one, made of wood and zinc, to reflect his role as a humble pastor. Throughout his 12 years as the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, Francis' leadership has been centered on the theme of mercy. He championed the welfare of refugees and other marginalized peoples. He also pushed for a more tolerant Catholic Church, including the LGBT community and the divorced and remain. He also criticized economic policies that, according to him, aggravated poverty and inequality. His declarations, focusing on what he called the peripheries of society, remained the ire of the conservative bloc, especially in the United States, accusing him of diluting the teachings of the church. Elected to the chair of St. Peter in 2013, the former Archbishop of Buenos Aires was in his native country of Argentina, was one of the oldest popes in history. Benedict XVI, his immediate predecessor, who resigned at the age of 85 due to declining health, died at 95. John Paul II, later declared a saint, died at 84. John Paul I passed away at 65, while Paul VI died at 80. In 2022, Francis started using a wheelchair in his public appearances due to a painful torn ligament in his knee. From time to time, the pontiff used a cane when walking, but since then he was never seen atop the high altar of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome to celebrate the Holy Mass. Instead, he presided over some parts of the liturgy from a platform at the side of the basilica and dedicated cardinals to lead the rest of the Holy Mass at the altar. Francis, who had part of his lung removed when he was young, has battled over health problems throughout his pontificate. In 2023, he was hospitalized twice. First was due to a respiratory infection, and second was to remove intestinal scar tissues and repair a hernia. In November of that same year, he canceled a scheduled tour trip to Dubai due to a very acute infectious bronchitis. During one of his travels as Pope, he was asked by journalists if he was not afraid of going around without the security of the bulletproof Popemobile. He famously answered, "At my age, I've got nothing to lose." Born as Jorge Mario Bergoglio to Italian immigrant parents, he was the eldest of five children. He worked as a bouncer in a club before graduating as a chemical technician and then choosing the path to priesthood. In 1973, he made his final profession and, with the Jesuits, quickly became the provincial of the Jesuits in Argentina, a post he held for 6 years. He was consecrated bishop in 1992 and ultimately became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. He was later created a cardinal by Pope John Paul II in 2001. He was said to be the runner-up during the conclave that elected Benedict XVI. Francis, aside from being the first pope from the Americas, was also the first of the Order of Jesuits and the first to take the name Francis after the famous 13th century Saint Francis of Assisi. Some of the apostolic journey were the first in papal history, including visits to the Iraq, UAE, Myanmar, and the French island of Kosovo. In 2015, Francis made a very emotional visit to the Philippines after a massive demonetization caused by Typhoon Haiyan. He was the third port to visit the Southeast Asia after Paul VI and John Paul II. He visited the Malacanang Palace, Manila Cathedral, and the Pontifical UST. He also met the then President Benito Aquino at the Malacanang. In a typhoon with reached Tacloban, he had to hold an altar mass amid intense rains was swaying by approaching the storm. I am here to be with you. So this will be the sad news for happening at the Vatican. As you know it, as the bells continues, we will end shortly at 6:15 p.m. for the IchiTV Now. Please stay tuned on ITV for the latest news updates. I'm Oskee Walden. This is ITV. Please stay tuned for the updates on Pope Francis. I'm Oskee Walden. Keep it here on ITV.